You ever stop and think about the secret rules you're following every single day without even realizing it? Well, today, we're going to crack the code on one of the biggest ones, the hidden, almost magical order of English adjectives. It's a system you're already a total pro at, even if you don't know it yet. Let's dive in.
Seriously, think about this. You just know that a beautiful French girl is the right way to say it. Your brain doesn't pull out a grammar book, it just feels right. But why? What's the invisible force arranging those words so perfectly in your head? That, right there, is the puzzle we're about to solve.
Okay, so to get to the bottom of this mystery, we first have to understand what an adjective is actually doing in a sentence. And it turns out they've basically got two main jobs. At its heart, an adjective is just a word that describes a noun. Pretty simple, right? It gives us more info. So picture a tiger. Now, picture a frightened tiger. See that? The adjective frightened adds a whole new layer of meaning, but it also narrows our focus to one specific kind of tiger. So you'll see adjectives pop up in two main places. The first is what's called attributive. That's when it's right before the noun, like in the frightened tiger. The other position is predicative, and that comes after a linking verb, like is or seems, as in the tiger is frightened. It's the same word, just in two different spots, and you know what? Both of them sound perfectly natural. All right, so we've got the basics down. Now let's get back to our beautiful French girl and finally pull back the curtain on the secret system that puts all those adjectives in exactly the right place. You know, this isn't some chaotic free-for-all. English speakers aren't just winging it. There's this deeply ingrained, though totally unwritten, logic that tells us what to do when we start piling on the adjectives. It's a system you already know how to use perfectly. And here it is, the royal order of adjectives. What's so cool about this is how it flows. It generally goes from the most subjective thing to the most objective. We start with our opinion, something like lovely or beautiful. Then we get more concrete with physical things like size, shape, and age. After that, it's color, then where it's from, its origin, and finally, the most objective thing of all, what it's actually made of, its material. So let's put this rule to the test. Take this phrase, a large, old, white wooden house. Let's break it down. Large is size, old is age, white is color, and wooden is material. Look at that. It follows the order perfectly. Now try to scramble them up. A wooden, white, old, large house. It just sounds broken, doesn't it? That is the secret code in action. But of course, we're talking about English here, and for every rule, you're going to find some fascinating exceptions that just love to break it. So let's look at a couple of cases where things get a little weird. Now, this is where it gets really cool. Just changing the position of an adjective can completely flip its meaning. For example, if you talk about an old friend, you mean you've known them for a long time, right? But if you say, my friend is old, you're talking about their age. It's the same word, but its position creates two totally different ideas. And the quirks don't stop there. Take a word like afraid. It pretty much only works after a verb. You can say the child is afraid, but you'd never say the afraid child. That just sounds all wrong. For that, you'd probably use a different word, like frightened. It's subtle, but it's a huge difference. And you see this with official titles like Attorney General or phrases like something new, where that adjective is just locked in place after the noun. But adjectives don't just describe things statically. Oh no. One of their coolest powers is letting us actually compare things, to rank them. Let's take a quick look at how they power up. This is what linguists call gradability. It basically means we can turn up the volume on an adjective. We don't just have big, we have different degrees of big. There's the basic level, what we call the positive state. Then there's the comparative for when you're comparing two things. And finally, the superlative for the absolute top of the heap. For most short adjectives, it's super simple. We just tack on and est. So big, bigger, biggest. Easy. But then you've got the rebels, the irregular ones that totally play by their own rules. Good doesn't become gooder, right? No way. It completely transforms into better and best. So, after all of that, what's the big takeaway here? Well, it's actually something pretty incredible about the way your own brain works. And this is the most amazing part. The royal order, all those weird exceptions, the comparisons, you have been navigating this ridiculously complex system flawlessly your entire life. It's not something you learn from a textbook, it's a code that's just written deep into the language itself. So the next time you effortlessly say something like, a lovely little old red car, just take a second and give yourself a pat on the back.
You're a master of a secret linguistic code. And you know, it kind of makes you wonder, what other incredible complex systems are we all using every single day without ever stopping to think about them?